So, are you feeling kind of stuck? You've been working really hard, right? Trying all the productivity hacks, reading the books.
Oh, yeah.
And yet here we are, it's 2025, and it still feels like you're just, I don't know, grinding against some invisible wall.
Absolutely. It's a common feeling, that plateau.
Well, the thing is, maybe the issue isn't really about effort. Not at all. It could be down to your internal operating system.
That's a great way to put it, your internal OS.
Exactly. And unless you consciously decide to update and rewire that system, all that drive, all that ambition, it just leads to, well, more burnout, doesn't it?
It really does. You keep running the same old software on new challenges. It just doesn't compute.
Right. So you don't need another quick fix. What you probably need is a complete brain script overhaul.
Yeah.
One that's actually built for today's world, for 2025.
And that's what's so exciting about what we're diving into. We're looking at some really profound concepts, particularly drawing from Michael Samuel's approach in Just Ask the Universe. And this isn't just, abstract theory. It's really meant as a practical transformation plan. For you, listening right now, navigating 2025.
A plan. I like that.
Yeah, it's all about unlocking these strategies, backed by neuroscience, actually, to rewire yourself for real focus, to understand how to genuinely talk to the universe. We'll unpack that for, automatic success.
Automatic success, okay.
And facing down that fear,
Yeah.
the one that holds so many people back, and building these success circuits that almost run on autopilot.
Yeah.
It's really about shifting from constantly chasing success to becoming the kind of person who just effortlessly attracts it.
Okay, let's unpack that then. This internal operating system. When Samuels uses that phrase, talking to the universe, what does he really mean? Is it some kind of, mystical chant? Or is there something more precise going on?
That's such a crucial question. And no, it's definitely not about magic spells or anything like that.
Right.
He's describing a very precise, very intentional method. It's about signaling your subconscious mind.
The subconscious.
Exactly. He sees the subconscious as the direct line, the conduit to these universal principles of attraction or manifestation, your conscious thoughts. They create these specific energy signatures, these frequencies.
Okay.
Your subconscious picks these up, interprets them literally, that's key, it doesn't judge, and then it transmits them outwards. So that's the essential 2025 OS upgrade, learning to actively, consciously program that subconscious.
So when we talk about rewiring your brain, it's not just a neat metaphor.
Not at all. It's literal. Every single thought you repeat, every visualization you really engage with, it physically strengthens specific neural connections in your brain.
Man.
You're literally building new pathways, like new highways, that make those desired outcomes, those new ways of thinking and being, much more accessible, easier to reach.
That makes so much sense, especially now. With AI automating so much and competition feeling so intense, if your subconscious is still running on old programming, old limiting scripts from, say, 5 or 10 years ago, you're just operating at a huge disadvantage, aren't you?
Absolutely. The pace of change now demands a brain that's proactively wired for growth, for adaptation, for seeing opportunity, not one stuck in old patterns.
Okay, so beyond just, thinking positive thoughts, what's a really concrete first step Samuel suggests for this intentional programming? How do we start?
He recommends something very specific, a daily I want list. But, and this is important, with extreme precision.
Precision. Okay.
So it's not enough to just write down, I want more money. That's too vague for the subconscious.
Right.
You need to be specific, like, I want to close 3 high-ticket clients by the end of Q3 2025, generating, say, $50,000 in new recurring revenue. See the difference?
Yeah, that's much clearer. Tangible.
Exactly. And then, the crucial part, you visualize it as if it's already happened. You engage your senses. What does it feel like? What do you see? What sounds are around you when you achieve that goal?
Right.
This isn't just wishful thinking. He argues you're actually building a precise energetic blueprint, a set of instructions that your subconscious can then get to work on actualizing.
Okay, like giving it coordinates.
Precisely. And doing this consistently builds those new neural pathways we talked about. It also, interestingly, seems to reduce anxiety and boost performance. It's very similar, actually, to how elite athletes use mental rehearsal.
Yeah, they visualize the perfect shot, the winning race.
Over and over, they rehearse it mentally until their brain and body believe it's possible, until it feels almost inevitable. It builds this unshakable belief.
Okay, so it's not just wishing, it's blueprinting. I like that frame. Now, Samuels also talks quite a bit about the universe operating on abundance, not scarcity. This idea sounds familiar. We hear it in self-help circles. But what's the deeper insight he brings, especially for 2025, where Let's be honest, competition often feels incredibly fierce.
Yeah, that's a great point because it can sound a bit fluffy sometimes, can it? Abundance thinking.
A little bit, yeah, when you're worried about paying bills.
Right. But Samuel's insight here, I think, is quite radical. It's not just about thinking bigger. He argues that the very act of competing, of seeing the world as a zero-sum game where you have to take from others to succeed, that itself stems directly from a scarcity mindset.
Okay.
And he actually argues that trying to take from others, operating from that competitive get mine energy, will ultimately lead to loss for you too in the bigger picture. It creates a certain kind of energy field around you.
Huh. How does that play out now in 2025?
Well, think about the creator economy, for instance. It often thrives on collaboration, on network effects, on sharing value. And look at burnout rates, they're sky high, often because people are constantly feeling like they're fighting for this tiny perceived slice of the pie.
That constant struggle.
Exactly. True wealth, true success, Samuels asserts, comes from expanding a pie, from creating value, not just trying to grab a bigger piece of what already exists.
Okay, that resonates. So, practically speaking, how do we actually start rewiring our brains away from that ingrained scarcity default towards this more expansive, abundance-focused way of creating? What's the action step there?
He offers a really interesting framework for this. He calls it the enhancement principle.
The enhancement principle. Okay.
And it's more than just, being generous or nice. It's a conscious strategy. It's about deliberately shifting your energetic output from a transactional mindset, what can I get, to one of pure value addition, what can I give?
How does that work in practice?
Before any interaction, a meeting, a sales call, even as an email, he suggests pausing and asking yourself, how can I add more value to this person's life or situation than I necessarily expect to receive in return right now?
Add more value than you receive.
Right. It's about leading with contribution. He believes this literally rewires your brain's focus. You start seeking opportunities to give, to enhance, to contribute first. And this, he argues, fundamentally changes your energetic signal.
Your signal.
Yeah, the vibe you put out, if you like. And by changing that signal, you start attracting different kinds of opportunities, different kinds of people, collaborations you might not have even seen before when you were operating purely from what's in it for me.
So you become like a magnet for value by first being a source of value.
Precisely. It's about becoming that source.
That's quite profound, actually.
Yeah.
It shifts the focus entirely. It's not just about what you get in the end, but who you have to become in the process.
Exactly. It's an identity shift.
But here's the thing. For someone who's been feeling stuck for years, maybe tried stuff before that didn't work, how do they bridge that gap? The gap between intellectually understanding this, okay, add value, think abundance, and truly deeply believing it, especially when fear and doubt were such easy, automatic defaults in our uncertain world.
That is perhaps the most critical piece of the puzzle. And Samuels addresses it head on. He uses this phrase, belief precedes seeing.
Belief precedes seeing, not the other way around.
Correct. Not, I'll believe it when I see it. He argues your brain, especially your subconscious, needs proof, convincing proof that you are this successful, abundant person, this mastermind, as he sometimes calls it. You have to generate the belief first.
How? When reality seems to contradict it.
He boldly states, you have to believe in order to see, and that the person who acquires this power, this belief, can essentially conquer fate and have what he wants. In today's environment, your brain needs consistent, almost tangible proof that your desired future is not just possible, but real, even if that proof initially comes from mental rehearsal.
Mental rehearsal again. Like the athletes.
Exactly like the athletes. Practice mental rehearsal daily, seriously. Close your eyes, take a few breaths, and vividly, intensely imagine yourself already having achieved your goal, already being that person.
Okay.
Feel the emotions, the joy, the satisfaction, the confidence. Hear the sounds associated with that success. See the environment. Make it as real and sensory-rich as possible.
So you're essentially giving your brain the evidence it needs.
You're building those neural pathways. You're conditioning your subconscious. You're making the path to that desired future feel familiar, expected, even inevitable. It lowers the resistance.
That makes perfect sense now. So we're not just talking about like manifesting a new car or something.
Yeah.
We're talking about fundamentally becoming the person who effortlessly attracts those things, experiences, opportunities, whatever it is you're aiming for.
That's the core of it. Yeah.
It's really about building a brain. It's not just, resilient to challenges, but one that's proactively designed for the opportunities and the realities of 2025 and whatever comes next.
Absolutely. And the key message here is You're not broken. You're not flawed if you feel stuck. You're simply wired for yesterday's world, running on old programming. But in 2025, the people who thrive, the entrepreneurs, the innovators, the creators who really make an impact, they are the ones who consciously, intentionally rewire their internal operating system.
Yeah, take control of the programming.
They do. They stop just reacting to the external chaos and uncertainty. They start actively rehearsing their desired reality internally. They build a brain that works for the future they want to create, not one stuck in the past. And that power, it's already inside you. It just needs to be activated.
The power is already within you. It's time to activate it. That's a strong closing thought. So let me ask you, listening right now, what old belief, what outdated piece of programming are you finally going to break this week? What are you ready to let go of?
Yeah, really think about that. Make a commitment.
If you feel like you're ready to move beyond, maybe 2019 style self-help in this 2025 world, well, hopefully this deep dive has shown you a potential path. A path towards intentionally rewiring yourself for maybe unprecedented success.